When the Taliban took over Afghanistan in 2021, some had hoped it would be a more moderate Taliban regime, a Taliban 2.0, if you will. They believed the Taliban's promises that they would allow women to study and work, but that hasn't been the case. The Taliban have stopped all education for women in the country. They've banned women from working in foreign aid organizations. Now, in a recent announcement, the Taliban in bulk have said female patients should not visit male doctors. Let's take a closer look at what this means. Women cannot go to male doctors. Women are not allowed to work in general, including as doctors. So where on earth do women go for medical treatment? The Taliban isn't a centralized authority. The announcement in bulk does not mean that this is the case all over Afghanistan, but there are signs that while the Taliban officially allows women doctors in the rest of the country, on the ground it is restricting even this work opportunity. WION spoke to a female doctor from Afghanistan. Dr. Sona asked that we do not use her last name so that the Taliban cannot identify her. She says she was denied a job because she's a woman.
मुझे काम मिला था एक क्लिनिक में, एक हॉस्पिटल में। जब मैंने उसको कॉल किया तो उसने कहा कि तुम आ नहीं सकते क्योंकि ये रूल्स आ चुके हैं। मुझे बहुत बहुत गमगीन एहसास हुआ, जो कि मुझे कहा ना कि तुम मत आओ यहाँ, चूंकि कि मुझे उस जॉब की बहुत सख्त जरूरत थी।
While women are not officially barred from being doctors, some have decided to boycott their jobs to protest the Taliban's oppression.
ये डॉक्टर खुद नहीं जाती क्योंकि हम सपोर्ट करना चाहते हैं अपनी गर्ल्स को, अपनी स्कूल को, अपनी यूनिवर्सिटी को।
The Taliban banned female aid workers in December after claiming the women were not wearing their hijabs properly. The ban means more restrictions on a woman's ability to support herself. The United Nations is trying to get the Taliban to reverse its ban on women aid workers. They argue that women are needed to deliver aid to other women. But the Taliban's rules prevent women from meeting men who they're not related to. This means aid agencies staffed by just men will not be able to reach many who are in need of care. This means women are deprived of aid during a food crisis. 3 million children are at risk from malnutrition, and if women and girls if they do in fact fall ill and require medical treatment, they may not be able to get it because of a lack of female doctors. For more on this, we are now joined from London by Just Uppal, a human rights lawyer and activist. Thanks very much, ma'am, for speaking to WION. Now, women cannot go to male doctors in Afghanistan. They're not being allowed to work in that country, which means women doctors cannot offer their services. So as we asked, where on earth are the Afghan women expected to go for medical treatment? Just what is going on?
Thank you for inviting me. That's a very valid question and it needs to be answered, and the women ought to receive support from international governments and organisations, especially women's organisations. I'm very surprised that that space has not been filled in and they're not crying out in support of these women. Clearly the Taliban is persecuting these women, and there is a course of action in at the United Nations, and it should be raised. It's a very backward step. They should quite rightly receive the wrath of the international community in very strong terms, because it's affecting the children, because since the ladies are usually the main carers. And they're not allowed to go see doctors, so it means that they will risk getting more ill, infections, etc. Again, another space for doctors, international in the international community to raise their voices. It's absolutely unacceptable that the Taliban allegedly the Taliban are behaving in this way. You cannot even say allegedly because they're quite open about it. All they are showing is their absolute visceral hate towards women, and they need a timely reminder that they were born to women. They've got sisters, mothers, and other relatives who are women, and surely they wouldn't want them to be treated in the same way. And we have received or information on WhatsApp and the social media that they, in some cases, they allow their own daughters to go abroad and take benefit of education and their women folk, and including themselves for medical treatment abroad. So, you know, there's different levels of discrimination that's going on and ill treatment. I don't think they've viewed their claims and their allegations, what they're trying to change, sufficiently. In addition, there should be, in my view, the religious people who you know, I'm surely would not agree to this. They should stand up and correct these people, because their actions are leading to arrested development of the rest of the nation.
Yes, and that is exactly what I want to ask you about. If you look at the big picture now, ban on higher education, ban on working women in general, ban on women working with aid agencies, ban on women going to male doctors, the list goes on. So apart from taking Afghanistan back to Stone Age and trampling on women's rights, aren't the Taliban creating a humanitarian crisis for the people of Afghanistan? And why is the international community just standing by and watching like a mute spectator?
Well, that I can't answer. I can only consider on the lack of evidence available to us that that they are selective about which causes they support. This is, you know, there's no other definition of persecution. It seems that the Taliban are targeting women, and that's so wrong. And it's incredible that we're bystanders. We should be alerting, making this a big cause, as we do with other causes, and pursue it. I mean, they've got grounds to go to the UN and you know, seek redress, even to the criminal courts, the international criminal courts, because this is a criminal behaviour. It's targeting a vast community, members of the community, of their community, that they have decided to persecute. That there's no other way of describing it.
Absolutely, persecution of the highest order. Thanks very much, Asupal, for sharing your views with us here on WION.
Thank you for inviting me.